Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome to Healing with Hila. This is your space for aligning, expanding, and reconnecting with who you truly are. I'm your host, Hila Kedem Ferguson. I'm a transpersonal hypnotherapist, manifestation coach, and sound creator. Thank you so much for inviting me into your life. Hello, my beautiful souls. I am so grateful to have you here. And today I really want to talk to us about something that's been coming up a lot for my clients. It's been coming up in sessions for a few of my clients, and something that I feel like I've really worked and processed through myself a few months back. And it's the subject of acceptance. It's the subject of radical acceptance. It's a very interesting subject because I feel like those of us who are more spiritual in nature, those of us who are manifestors and understand the laws of the universe, are very future focused, which there's nothing wrong with. We say and we talk about being present in our imagined reality more than our observed, because in a way that's the essence of manifesting. That's the essence of calling into your life the things that you don't have currently in physical. It's about bridging the gap and really moving into the space of imagining and the energy and the frequency of something already being here, even though it hasn't fully showed up in physical reality. The other day, I was working with a client that's been struggling a little bit with some food addiction and some habits that are very addictive in nature. And it was very interesting because when we went into guidance for him and really scanned what it is that his own soul and guides want to share with him, they actually pivoted and moved into the subject of acceptance. They were talking about how he needs to be in a space that allows and radically accept his feelings. They were moving him into a space that was all about really tuning into what he feels and allowing him to really raise the dial on the intensity of his feelings, to really allow his feelings to be so present in his life so they can move him and teach him in what direction to go. They were talking about the so-called addictions being a way to numb what he really needs, that it's a quick fix versus really understanding where he's at. And they talked about acceptance. They said that for many of us, it's hard to be in a space that fully accept where we are, that we tend to maybe ignore the underlying currents and emotions that rises, and we move into processes that kind of numb that area. That if you want to have full alignment, you need to be in full acceptance. I had another client that was facing a similar lesson. And again, I think what's really interesting in that, and I know that's true for myself as well, is that when you really are focused in creating reality that is not necessarily here, it's very hard to be very present with what is here, what's in front of you. I've experienced it as a way to kind of grieve my timeline. When I have moments of awareness that wherever I am right now in my human timeline, in my physical timeline, and I am not where I thought I would be, or I'm not where I've tried to create, that it's very hard to pause and accept it, because it's almost like I'm surrendering and giving in to my observed reality. And how can I create something new? And it can be such a conflicting feeling because, again, for many of us who are so conditioned in creating the reality that's ahead of us, we tend to skip the step of the observed reality that's in front of us. And it's a very, very intricate and tricky balance, because if we stay too much in the observed reality and what's around us, we will never be able to change it. We will never be able to call in this other piece. And again, it's such a delicate dance between the acceptance of where we are now and what's in front of us, and yet keeping the space open for what can be. It is an exercise in grounding into the present moment and realizing that every new moment brings forth a new opportunity. And just because we are in a space that is accepting the observed reality that's around us does not mean that we're going to be stuck in it forever. And I think that was very true for my client when she was scanning the subject. That was the biggest fear that she held on to, is that, well, if I just accept things the way that they are in this very moment, it means that that I'm going to just be stuck in it forever. And her guidance came through and was really adamant to teach her that no, that's really what undoes and frees up the next moment, by you stepping into this present moment in full acceptance and understanding that by opening up to that, you are actually freeing yourself to shift and change and call in a different moment. It's an exercise in trusting in the divine timing. It's an exercise in knowing that you still hold on to the vision. You still hold on to that dream. It's still active and here, but the reality that's in front of you is requesting you and asking you to be okay with it, to understand it, to accept it, to embrace it, and to whatever depth that is. You know, my one client, his acceptance was really about his feelings and allowing them to be present. My other client's acceptance was around her physical body and her physical state. And again, in each circumstances, the guidance came and said, by accepting this, you are not giving in to the observed reality and saying, well, this is what it is and it's never going to be different. By accepting it, you are actually untethering. You are actually opening yourself up. I really wanted to share with you guys the episode that I did. It was my exclusive podcast, Midnight Thoughts. So it is on my Patreon. It was during season 3. We are already in season 4, episode 17. It's been incredible. I've done almost 80 episodes. So I highly recommend to, if you love my content, go on Patreon and check it out. You can do a 7-day free trial and it would unlock all the episodes, and you can see if this is something that you resonate with and want to grow. But I was really feeling called to share this episode that I did around grieving the timeline. That was my first step in understanding acceptance. For me, it sat in understanding and grieving whatever it is that I'm observing, which was right around my birthday, just really accepting where I'm at, because I'm in a space of measured reality. It's a measured thing, how old I am, or this new year that's coming. It's a measured thing. It's a very, very observed right here in your face stage. And through understanding that piece and grieving it, I was able then to move to acceptance. And funny enough, I'm being reminded that I have done an episode about this very subject earlier this year, and here it is coming up again, and I'm trusting that there's a reason why it's being brought up again, experiencing it again with a few clients, and really trusting that, again, there's a reason why Spirit wants me to talk to you guys and share the segment from my Midnight Thoughts with you and get you to just listen to this again. I feel like when it comes to intuitive teachings, every time we listen to it, we're in a different vibrational state in our own lives. And so our ability to absorb whatever it is that's coming up is different. We will hear different pieces at different times. Different pieces will resonate for us. And this is a subject that's worth speaking about again. It was interesting when I was scanning this with my client when it came to the emotional spectrum. They were telling him when he moves through life with his dial only at 30%, when it comes to grief, when it comes to sadness, his dial for joy and for love and for happiness is also at 30%. And when he brings forth pieces into his body through food or whatever it is, that's that instant gratification. It's a non sustainable energy. And in a way, it's a space that pushes away his real current reality. And if he was in a space of fully accepting where he's at and accepting his feelings, radical acceptance of this is how I'm feeling, and then bring up the dial to 100 and really feel like he's supposed to, then the need for those addictions will subside tremendously. It will not be necessary. It will not be needed. When we understand the why behind something that we do, it tends to eventually go away if it's not serving us. And for my other client, again, being in a space of accepting the current physical situation she's at, being in that space of just radically accepting allows a space of untethering. And in my previous podcast here on Healing with Hila, I talked about it and how my song Acceptance Opens, that was born after I recorded that Midnight Thought episode, has been such a powerful piece for me and something that I have leaned on and used to push me forward when I'm feeling stuck in pieces of my life where grief bubbles up, when I need to work through whatever it is that physical reality is bringing forth for me and showing me. And it was really interesting because, again, this piece about accepting the spectrum of feeling feels like it's something that they've also opened up for us in the other podcast when I was channeling Orion's Council, and they were talking about how we didn't come to just experience love and joy. We came to feel all the feelings. We came to have an experience with the full polarity and the full spectrum of everything that this life, this earthly existence has to offer us, and this body, this emotional guidance system. We're not only playing in the last octave of the piano, we are opening up to all of that when we're here. And some of us are so resistant, especially those of us who are very spiritual in nature and are very, very focused in imagined reality and are so connected to our in between lives memories of being a soul, being untethered from the heaviness of this planet and the pieces that come with it. We tend to resist the other side. We tend to resist the other pieces that are just part of this physical existence. There would be no human life and an experience from this physical body if we didn't have that full spectrum and really learned how to give it space and feel into it. And so I really love how they're connecting all of these lessons through the channelings I'm getting, through my clients' experiences, through my own experiences, where the bottom line is moving into the space of acceptance, moving into the space of fully accepting our existence, our reality in this body, where we're at. And I loved what they told my client, where it's like every moment is new. Just because you moved into full acceptance in this one moment does not mean the next moment is not going to open up a new space for you. I do want to read my song again, Acceptance Opens. It's streaming on all platforms. I highly recommend you check it out. I think it's a really, really great piece. I want to read those lyrics because they have been so powerful for me. They've been really guiding me and supporting me through life since I've created them early this year. And so I'm going to share the lyrics again, and then I'm going to share with you the Midnight Thought episode I did about grieving the timeline, because I think that it's going to really resonate for a lot of you. Acceptance shifts the timeline. Acceptance sets me free. I receive what's been created, waiting there for me. Acceptance opens. Acceptance allows. Acceptance brings it into my now. Acceptance opens the way. Acceptance clears the field. Acceptance lets what's waiting finally be revealed. I accept. I release. I receive. I allow. I heal. Those words have been really powerful for me. I am reminded again and again that if I want to open up to the next stage of my dream and I'm being held back by any feelings of grief and any kind of resistance, I need to scan acceptance. I need to see where I'm at with that piece so I can untether, so I can set myself free. This is the episode now from my Midnight Thoughts, Grieving the Timeline. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it inspires you to check out the rest of my mini podcasts on my Patreon. I really want to talk today about some of the processing and aha moments that came to me around my birthday. So it was my birthday yesterday, and I found myself a couple days ago feeling funky. And I always get funky around birthdays. I notice my birthday and my kids' birthdays. And I decided to take some time and actually figure it out because I knew that there was something for me in it. And it was so beautiful because Spirit gave me such a good piece. And they said that I need to share it with you guys. And so they said to me that part of the reason why I personally struggle with my birthday is because it anchors me into physical reality, right? Like I teach you guys so much to be in your dream reality, release from the observed, go into your imagined, feel and live life as if it's already here, it already existed for you, even if physical reality is not quite there. And so being counted at my age is extremely grounding into my physical reality, right? It's like I am 43. It has been 43 years since I came to this planet, into this physical body. In my 43 years, I measured whatever it is I'm measuring, my money, my achievements, whatever it is that's on your scale. And it is so observed reality. It is like 100% observed reality. And I think that it makes me feel really uneasy and I don't like it. And it brings a lot of feelings for me. And when I dove deep into the feelings, I recognized that besides just the uncomfortable of kind of being stuck in this observed space that feels very limiting for me, there was also a lot of grief. And I started to really understand that piece. And that's where they really wanted me to share. I realized that we run pieces of grief around the expectation of something being here in physical reality in a certain timeline. Whether it's a loved one's physical existence, right? We expect their physical existence to be with us for whatever years, whatever it is. And if they're not, we experience a lot of grief around that timeline, that physical reality that would have looked a lot different if they were still physically playing with us. And sometimes the grief is about a loss of a relationship, not necessarily a death or a transition, right? But, an ex, we imagined ourselves being together, raising a family. We imagined ourselves, whatever the relationship is that we've lost. And sometimes it's the expectation of a goal of achieving something. I thought that by this age I'd be married. I thought that by this age I'd have whatever kids. I thought that by this age I would have this much money in the bank. And it kind of roots us into this expectation timeline. This is how I thought my timeline is going to look like. When I imagined myself the year before and I wished for myself whatever I wished for my birthday or my new year,
and it hasn't shown up, then I am experiencing a space of grief. And really, what I'm grieving is the timeline. And Spirit was telling me that what happens for those of us who are so rooted in the laws of the universe, we don't really allow space for the grief. We go into, well, and we know that everything happens for our highest good. Whatever it is that we wished for, we can even see that it was probably best that it didn't show up yet, or that something is getting ready for it to show up. We are able to look at that divine, beautiful timeline and our highest good in it and just say, we're good. It's all good. Everything happens in divine timing. But what we don't often allow space for, and I know that's true for myself, is grief over the timeline. Because bottom line, physical reality, you're not going to have a husband at 43, or you're not going to have that kid at 43, or you're not going to have that job at 43. And you're never going to get it back because you are rooted to a physical reality that has a physical timeline that is ticking. And you might get the husband or the kid or the job, but not in this physical timeline, not when you're in this age, not when you're in this new year, right? Now, when you're in this whatever stage that you decided that you had this expectation of this thing being here already showing up. And they reminded me of this meditation I did where I've opened up the timelines and I walked down the idea of that sliding door. Like, if this happened, what would my life would have looked like? And just kind of ran that timeline. If this didn't happen, what would my life look like? And ran that timeline. And when I had the experience of feeling into this idea of, if we turn to page, right, to page 45, this is how the adventure would look like. And if we turned it to page 56, this is how the adventure would look like. You guys, I still love those books. They were my favorite. Choose your own adventure books. Oh my gosh. It's exactly it. The timeline shifts and it's not going to happen in that way. And eventually the end of the story might look exactly the same. You will still get those things, but the time in which they come is going to be different. And it's very okay for us as human beings to have grief over the timeline. And eventually, obviously, the thing that moves us beyond it is our ability to take a step back and recognize everything is happening for our highest good in divine timing. And really, what they had me do is count all the things that happened in my timeline in this moment that I didn't even expect to have or be. And it was really cool because they were like, yes, take a moment and run the grief over the things you thought you will have by now that you don't. Let go of that timeline. It's never going to happen. It's okay. Bless all the things that showed up in your timeline that you did not think you were going to have. Expand that, enjoy that, and eventually move into a space that just honors that divine timeline and knows that highest good is here above all else. And when we untether and release the idea of what that's going to look like, and we just let our feelings lead us and allow that to be the piece that we take with us to the next year or the new year, then everything works out. And I just really felt like it was important to share this piece with you guys because I really wanted to give you space to honor this grief over a timeline. Again, I feel like you guys, my listeners, are a lot like me. Like, we tend to be very in the solution and we don't allow enough space for the process of the feeling and the problem. And so allow that, grieve that, honor that. There's grief in that. It's never going to happen again, and then move into a space of trust again and knowing truly that everything happens exactly as it needs to. Divine timing is in action. And it feels really amazing celebrating the things you didn't expect that happened. And again, letting those feelings lead you.
I really hope today's episode brought you pieces that you needed to hear. And again, even though we are repeating stuff, I feel like it's important There's a reason why things are being brought up again. And honestly, the laws of the universe are very simple. And when you do a podcast that centers around all of those pieces, we tend to speak about them again and again. There's a reason why we look at them again. There's a reason why there's another angle they have me share with you, or why it's showing up again for my clients. And so I'm going to trust that not every episode is going to be a completely standalone new piece, that there's a reason why Spirit wants me to bring forth to you guys those pieces again. And I know they're going to hit a bit differently. I know you're going to receive from them whatever it is that you need to hear. I am so grateful to have you on my journey. I hope you check out my song, Acceptance Opens. Like I said, it's been such a great way to anchor this lesson for myself. It's catchy, it's easy, and music just does this phenomenal thing for us where it does truly anchor those pieces. Those words get to be repeated like an earworm. And I am so grateful to have my music platform be the one that anchors these affirmations for myself, especially when I need those reminders and my consciousness, has a hard time thinking of other things. All of a sudden, I'll hear my music and be like, oh my gosh, yes, I needed this reminder. That's the piece that was missing for me. And so I hope it supports you as well. Thank you again so much for joining me, and thank you for inviting me into your lives.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Healing with Hila. If you'd like to explore more, join our amazing community on Patreon for my Midnight Thoughts, exclusive podcast, and so much more. Thank you so much for inviting me into your life. So much love your way.